Welcome. My name is Tom Lelio. This is the Jet Life Podcast. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and today we're pulling back the curtain on private aviation to answer any of your questions. What's going on, Carl? Any of your questions as it comes to private jets, whether you're joining us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, and the TikTok. Welcome. So I'm going to be making some cold calls today, and everyone's going to get a chance to, engine programs for the jet are the same. Which ones are the best? Oh, ER coming in hot with a question. So he's asking about all the engine programs for jets. Are they the same? Which ones are the better ones? And I'd be happy to answer that question for you right now. And the answer to that question is no, they're not all the same. And so you have some engine programs that are like from the manufacturer and they're good. They cover everything. And then there's different levels to those engine programs. For example, you might have MSP Gold, MSP Silver, MSP Light, whatever it might be. And so based on those, here's some things to keep in mind of what the different levels of specific programs might include or might not include. So number one, it may not include labor. Some programs, the top tier, everything's covered. And in the lower tiers, not everything's covered. So they don't cover the labor. Sometimes it's specific parts. Sometimes it's limiting you to specific shops you can use. At the top tiers, you can use anyone you want. At the lower tiers, you have to use specific shops. Sometimes it covers the cost to ship an engine out and to get a loaner engine while you're using it. Sometimes that's not covered. The other thing you need to know about, so that's different levels of programs will have different benefits to it. The other thing you want to watch out for is how much of the work or the parts and the labor that they're going to cover. So for example, some programs are easy to get into. There's one program that's like a third party program. It's easy to get into because, you start paying when you get into it. So for example, let's just say, an engine costs $500,000 to overhaul it. Let's say it's halfway through its life, right? And so normally, if you do $500,000 and divide that by 1750, by 3,500 hours, it would cost you $142 an hour. So think about that. So $142 an hour times your halfway life, you're going to end up paying into it $248,000. But wait, when you get to the overhaul, there's an extra $250,000 that you owe to get this work done, but you weren't paying into the program until halfway through the engine's life. And so you have a couple of options. You can do what's called a deferred payment, which means, okay, when it's time to come to overhaul, like you're going to owe an extra $250 on top of what you already paid into. Or you just agree with the company that you're doing an engine program with, like, okay, I'm not gonna pay this, so I'm gonna owe $250. It's kind of similar to the deferred payment. Or you can also tack it onto, thanks, Ali. You can actually tack it onto your 142. So instead of paying 142 an hour, some programs will now charge you twice that. So you're paying $300 an hour per engine because you have to play catch up. So basically, you either defer the payment or you start playing catch up while you're using the program. And so your hourly rate is going to be higher than it would have been when you were coming on. So you have to watch out for that when you're doing an engine program, especially if you're putting an engine on the program that wasn't on there or got taken off. And do your due diligence if that's the right move for you or not. So I appreciate ER getting in there hot, asking a question. Again, welcome everybody to this live stream. My name is Tom Lelio. I'm with Jet Life Aero. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and we're pulling back the curtain on aviation, answering any of your questions, whether it's about private jets, buying private jets, or it's about how to sell private jets, sales, marketing, all that fun stuff. I'm here for you today as we're making some cold calls. And so if you join us on anything else like Twitch or YouTube or anything like that, I'm actually going to have some YouTube videos playing there as well, so you can learn while we're talking, because sometimes it's I have to mute the microphone because we're talking to some very important people, and so I can't give away all that information. So you can go check it out over there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button. you'll have a chance
I'm
to.
going to be explaining today how to become a private jet broker. I'm
This is
actually
how to become a
hopping on
private
the
jet broker.
phone
You might be hearing
in
that.
about an hour to
My
talk with
mic is my
somebody who
mic is
saw me online and just
disconnected.
wants to learn more. I'm going to share my story of how I became a jet broker, what was
Thanks,
my
CR. I
sales
appreciate it. Thank
experience,
you so
my
much. I just
experience in aviation.
disconnected a
Do you
microphone
need
because it ran out of
experience in
battery.
aviation to make it as a jet broker?
That's
What does
a
the
shame.
first 30
Let me see
days
if I can
look
make
like
this
as a
work.
jet broker? What does the day-to-day look like as a jet broker? Going to go over all that for you today here. So let's talk
Get
about
that
my
charging.
story real quick. Before I was a jet broker, I was a youth pastor. Believe it or not, for just about a decade, even when I was in college and in high school, I was involved in youth ministry. That was my
All right,
passion.
we're
I
gonna get
went to
those charging
school
for the
for
TikTok viewers.
theology.
Everybody
And then
else,
finally, my wife and I found
all
ourselves in
Arkansas,
Florida with 5 children,
Arkansas.
just trying to make ends meet. And while I loved working for the church and I loved ministry, I just was in a position where I needed to make more money. So we stepped out of the church world into the secular world. I worked as a manager of a local music school, focusing on marketing and sales, and we grew that school. And then we got to the point where I met again with my boss, and I said, listen, like I really want to continue to grow. I want something bigger, something more. I know you've been talking about franchising. Is that a good fit for me? And after a long conversation, we both agreed it's probably not the right fit. So I decided to start looking elsewhere. As I'm looking elsewhere, I just came upon an ad on Indeed.com, believe it or not. I don't even remember if it said sell private jets. I don't remember if it said work with high net worth individuals. I don't remember what it said exactly, but basically, I applied. I gave them a call. I said, hey, I'm interested. They called me back. We had a good conversation. And I was fortunate enough that they decided to take a chance on someone who had no aviation experience. So that's how I got involved in the aviation industry, from youth pastor selling multi-million dollar jets. Pretty crazy story, as it were. So what experience do you need to be successful as a private jet broker? Well, as you know, I worked as a youth pastor, so I always thought of selling Jesus and marketing Jesus. How do you get someone to come to your event? You can't just throw pizza out there and say, we're going to watch a movie. You got to go meet people. You got to go talk to them. You got to get to know them. So client relationship was really important in youth ministry.
First
I
one,
learned a lot about marketing and videography and
voicemail.
Photoshop and graphic design, as a youth pastor. And so I brought those skills to
Second
the
one.
table. And so maybe you're doing something similar where you're doing marketing, you're
All
doing
right,
sales,
let's
you're
try
doing
this one.
engagement with people. That's
We'll
going to
just leave
only
it at that.
serve
We'll
you
move
as
on.
a private jet broker, because it's very, very important. Mentorship,
Who's
coaching,
got this?
enables
Someone
you
in
to
the
really
UK
grow.
has
It's going to
this.
serve you well. Before a youth pastor, I did work in the restaurant industry. I was a bus boy. I took, phone calls and took orders on the
What's
phone.
up,
I was a
Ursu?
delivery driver.
Good to
So
see you,
customer
man.
service was a big part of my background when I came into
Hopefully
being
everybody
a
can
jet
hear
broker.
everything
So is that going to be part of
okay.
your background? I also sold knives. Shout out to Vector Marketing, Cutco Knives. I sold knives in high school. That's how I got my
Yeah,
first
turn that down a
iPod. I
little
had
bit.
a goal that I wanted to get an iPod. I had to sell X amount of knives, and I did it. So I
All
had
right,
a
let me know
little
if
bit of
the
sales, direct sales experience
video
through that. My wife and I were involved in network marketing. So we found a little bit of
the
success
video
in that.
volume's
We
okay,
weren't one
guys.
of those, millionaires with a huge
Let's
team
see
or
who
anything
else we
like
got.
that. We just, sold enough to
Tickety
offer a
tock.
product and a little extra on top of that. I did have some sales and marketing people
Texas.
experience, right? I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. This is a people-driven business, relationship-driven business. So you don't need experience. Now, I will tell you now that I'm a pilot. Now that I have more experience in the industry, it definitely helps. It helps your, I would say, your closing ratio or your effectiveness. To have a background, but don't get bogged down in the details. A lot of pilots, a lot of professional salespeople, they will major on the minors. So the pilots get stuck talking about all the avionics and how awesome the plane is and fuel burn, fuel efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. They forget that the whole point of being a broker is to close the deal, is to bring people together. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on those nitty gritty details. And if you don't know, you just pass somebody along to someone who does know. If you're a broker and someone asks you about maintenance and a specific service bulletin that needs to get done, and you don't know, like, no, I don't know, but I'll find the answer. And you find people that you can go to and get those answers. So
Got another
that's
voicemail.
kind of how what role experience is going to play if you're thinking about being a jet broker.
Hello, Scott. My
As
name
I
is
continue
Tom
to
with
share with you what the
Jet
first 30
Life
days look like as a
Arrow.
jet broker,
Good
what the day-to-day
morning.
looks
I'm
like as a jet broker, I
just
want
going through
immigration,
the
aircraft broker,
Citation
cabin
Ultra
avionics.
Market. Got
It's
Charlie Victor
a
pulled
great,
up, and I don't know if it
tool.
makes sense for you to give me a
Partnered
buzz
with
back or
them
not. You probably
to
get these calls all
show
the
the new
time. I'm
members
not
like
here to
yourself
waste your
that are
time.
interested
Just
in
want
becoming
to
a jet
hopefully
broker
catch you at the
and
right
show them
time.
what
If
the
you're
road
looking to
looks
make
like.
a change
I
in the
went
new
in my
year,
first 30 days
2024, I'd
basically
love to to connect with you, answer any questions you might have regarding the market, what it might be worth, where the market's currently at, and answer any other questions to give you as much information as possible in order for you to make an informed decision about moving forward or not, with the sale or any kind of change with regards to Charlie Victor. So again, my name is Tom with Jet Life Arrow. You can find me on YouTube at The Ultimate Jet Guide. You can also call or text me at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
I felt like an idiot, and he put me in my place. He hung up. And so,
All
so
right.
you can either learn that way,
The voicemail.
or you can have a tool like Aircraft.
I gotta find a new a different sound effect for the voicemails, because I don't want it to be like a sad thing. I want it to just be like, okay, next. So maybe,
questions to ask. Here's how
yeah, it's probably better.
Objections, things
because there's
of that nature.
crickets, so that makes
check
sense.
that out if you're kind of interested in what we're talking about here.
Oh, Curtis, what's going on,
Learning a little
man?
about aircraft. We took a field trip to the hangar.
That's right.
Based on
I
an
think he got
airport.
back to me,
He
actually.
showed me a couple different planes and gave me a little bit of a brief history. And the frustrating part was, like, I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know what to Google. I didn't know how to research more information so I can get that information faster. We just kind of spent 3 days kind of learning a few things, and then on to the phones. And this is what your first 3 months, 6 months are going to look like. You got to be making phone calls. You got to be reaching out to people, talking to people. And the main strategy is go find a listing. Go find an owner that wants to sell his aircraft. And majority of the time, it comes down to luck. We had one guy that actually got a listing within his first 3 days. Just calling, he just found the right guy, and he was like, yep, I want to sell,
shut that down,
contract, and we're done. And, for me, it took a little bit more time. It took me like 30 to 60
Michael
days to get
Mini.
my first listing. And you got to kind of ask yourself, what are you doing for money during that whole time? What was interesting was when I quit at the music school and put my 2 weeks notice, after the 2 weeks, my brokerage called me and said, hey, there's something going on. We can't actually have you come on board for another month. So I had to spend a whole month with no income. I had to go and do some extra jobs, odds and ends. And then when I got there, the only income we had was like a weekly draw, like $500-600 a week. So I was making $2,000 a month, trying to provide for my whole entire family. We had some savings. So that's a question you need to ask yourself. Like, one of the biggest things that keeps people out of private aviation is that they don't have a way to make money while they're trying to build their book of business. And so you got to look at that. And if you get with an agency that has a draw, double check, because I've heard of agencies that will, give you a draw, but then when you get paid, you got to pay that draw back. So and think about it, you're probably not going to get paid for 6 months or so. So if you take, 2,000 a month times 6, that's 12 grand, and you get a paycheck for 20 grand, you're like, yay. But then all of a sudden the company's like, you owe us 12 grand for all the money we paid for you. We fronted you the past 6 months. And you're like, I made 8 grand. Yay. So, that's kind of something to think about. And that's one of the things I would speak to. A lot of people are concerned about a commission-based job, and they think salary is security. And I just don't feel that way. And I think if you're built similar to me, and the successful jet brokers, I think, are built in this way, where you want to be in control of your own destiny, so that if you work really hard, you're going to get a big payoff, versus if you don't do anything, you're not going to get paid. And so with a salary, no matter how hard you work, if you're the person that puts in like 110%, like, you're not going to see any extra rewards. Whereas when you're on commission, you can see more rewards for more effort, for more work, for more success. So that's something to think about. The first 30 days, how are you going to survive, basically? And don't look at it like, oh man, I could never take that chance, because if you don't take that chance, you'll never have that opportunity. So I would encourage you to find a way to make it work. If this is really what you're passionate about and you really want to try it, be ready that you're probably not going to have income for a little while. So the first 30 days, you're looking for listings. You're calling up owners, 100 calls a day. And basically, the math is going to work out where you basically need to do 10,000 phone calls to get a deal. 10,000 phone calls are going to give you maybe about 1,000 presentations. Out of those thousands people, you're trying to get at least 10 of them to hire you. Of those 10 people that are going to hire you, you're going to have 10 listings. Of those 10 listings, maybe only 3 of them are going to go under contract at any given time. Out of those 3 that are under contract, you're only going to have 1 that's actually going to close in a given amount of time. So you got to make 10,000 phone calls. That's going to take you 100 days if you make 100 calls a day every single day for 100 days. Well, what if you don't do 100 calls a day? Or, what if you take weekends off and don't make those calls? Well, it's going to take you longer. This is just kind of basic math, and it's an estimate. It's like I said, some people get lucky on the first, couple of 100 calls, they get a listing. Some people, it takes them longer. I think the reason why most people fail is because they don't have the right training. and they don't have the right coaching. They're not in the right environment to coach somebody up. Because I was a youth pastor. If I can do this, I think other people can do this, and that's part of my passion is sharing with other people. Like, here's like, I want to coach you, I want to mentor you, I want to be in the trenches with you to help you find success because it's transformed my life. I want to see that happen for somebody else. First 30 days, listen, you got to get on the phones and you just got to be ready for rejection. You're going to have people saying, don't ever call me again. You're going to have people saying, you're so annoying. You're going to have people just being very negative to you. You're calling up the owners, trying to find someone who wants to sell. A lot of it's luck, a lot of it's timing. And then over time, you're going to develop skills. I remember the first time I was going in to make phone calls, my manager told me, just don't talk about the jet. I'm like, how do I not talk about the jet? Like, I'm calling about to sell it. And he's like, don't tell him you want to sell your jet. I'm like, all right, I don't know how to do this. So my first phone call, literally my first phone, I pick up the phone. Hello, this is Tom. And I froze. Do you want to sell your jet? Nope. Click. He just hung up the phone, and it was rock bottom, but there was only one place to go, and that was up from there. But your skill is going to come in over time as you get comfortable. You're going to be able to get on the phone with someone, and as soon as they pick up the phone, hey Bob, this is Tom, Jet Life Aero. Good morning. They say good morning. Hey, the reason for the call is right now the market is slowing down for sellers. It's taking a lot longer to sell their jet. Have you been thinking about making a move with your Mustang in 2023? No, not really. I'm not. No,
All
thank you very
right,
much.
that was good.
Hey, listen,
We're
I
gonna give
totally
that
understand you're
one
not on the phone with
a
the
little
guys
bit of a
selling
round
it,
of
but they're saying
applause.
that because
Let's
they
see if
can't
I
find a
got.
replacement. Is that
Do I
the
not have
reason why you're
applause?
hesitant to sell? Yeah, I've been looking at the XLSs for a while, and I just want to see those prices come down before I make a move. Boom. Now we're having
That was a good one.
conversation. Now we're having dialogue,
Good
and it's
talking
because
with
I'm not just picking up the
you,
phone and being like,
Chris.
do you want to sell your jet? No, click. And
Okay,
so
I need
that
to
comes
add
with
this
skill,
one
that
to my
comes with
calendar
time.
too. So
And the first 30 days,
good
you're gonna
call.
get used to. You're gonna
Currently in paint,
you're gonna get
and
fail a
should be
lot.
ready in a
That's
few
okay. That's
weeks.
part of
So
it.
I'm
You
gonna
just want to be
put
in a place that
this
is going to help you grow from there.
call.
Sellers are talking to
Where
owners.
it
Now you're finally going to
is.
get a listing. Hooray! But we're not done because you haven't done anything really. You just have
There's
your
Zero
name
Mike
attached to a jet. Now people are going to start calling you. You're going to start talking to
Ultra.
buyers. You're going to start
All
talking
right,
to
that's what we
brokers.
do. We put it in the
How
follow up,
do
and we go.
you handle buyers,
Next.
handle brokers? That's another skill you're going to have to learn. How do you negotiate with buyers? How do you qualify them? How do you tell them, like, okay, this is the right plane for you, or no, this is not the right plane for you, but because I called every single citation owner on the planet, I know of 3 other guys that don't want to list their plane, but they would sell it for the right number. What are you looking
All
for?
right.
Oh,
Well,
well, I need
mobile
the
phone number. Let's
upgraded
see what we got going on here.
G750s and G600s. Great. I got one of those. Go call the guy.
Should I call them like this?
G600s. Hey, man,
Let me see if I
listen,
can
I
go
found
here.
someone that would be interested in buying your plane. Put a deal together. Like, you got a commission. Boom. Put a deal together because you're off market stuff. That's one way to make a deal happen. You've worked with
That's the way to
sellers,
do
now
it.
you're working with buyers, you're getting
In case anybody
commission,
was wondering.
you're getting the deal
Got on
together,
Instagram. Sorry, I haven't been
it's
checking the
coming
Instagram
together,
comments.
and we still
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
Julia. I
so
appreciate
that
you
goes
saying
to
that. Oh, Renee was
also
here for a little bit. Oh man, I missed some people on
what's
Instagram. My
gonna
bad.
happen at pre-buy? Is there a hole gonna get punched in the airplane from a nitrogen
That's
canister
awesome.
to
Good.
launch? There's a
I'm
hole
glad to
or
hear
a
you're getting some
jack on the floor
success.
that
Oh,
wasn't
Ursu's
replaced
still
right,
here.
and it
Okay, you
punches a
heard
hole.
that.
Yes, they've all happened
Like,
to
wonder
me.
if anybody
All right,
heard
is the
that.
buyer gonna hop
This
a
guy's
fence and I'm
voice.
gonna get a phone call from
All
the
right,
FAA
next
that
up.
night because they're trying to go see the plane before they had permission to go see it? Yes, it's all happened. It's all gonna happen to you. And so how do you handle and navigate through all of those ups and downs when it comes to that stuff? So you have a lot to still get through, and then finally you come to the closing and you get your paycheck. As a broker, you kind of got to talk to your agency. What's the commission split? Is it 80-20? Is it 70-30, 60-40, 50-50? Does it change, over time? Are there bonuses involved? Every agency is going to be different. Don't just take what the agency you're going to work with for gospel. Like, there's a lot of options out there. Ask them about those options, or at least ask, is there opportunity to change this? Because down the road you might have $100,000 commission, and then you're giving away $60,000 to the company, and you're like, wait a minute, like, why am I giving away so much money? Obviously they have their own overhead, et cetera, and they're providing support, and so they deserve to make
You guys didn't hear that?
money. But if that's not going to sit right with
Wasn't
you,
ready for that one.
corner,
That's what the trombone should be for, is when it's a
that's gonna be
bad
the first
call.
30 days,
It just wasn't
first
ready.
6
Not
weeks
for
is gonna look like,
sale.
as a broker.
Only
You're just gonna be learning as you go
working.
along. So, I definitely encourage you
Hung
to
up
check out the Aircraft Broker Academy.
on me. I wasn't ready. I didn't have my script up.
Now,
Wasn't ready to
day
go.
day,
Guy answered. I fell into my old script. Super salesy.
you can kind of set
Just
your own schedule. You
wasn't
can
ready for it.
set
All right,
your
this guy
own
just bought it in
budget, what you're
September.
looking to do. If you want to keep growing, if you want to create content like this, I mean, that's kind of what I do on
Let's
on
see
a
if
daily
this guy's a
basis. Now
lawyer,
I'm in a
probably.
position where I
He
want to
probably doesn't want to sell it,
I
but
want to help
hey,
buyers. I want to encourage
did I
brokers.
sell this one?
I want to assist buyers in acquisitions and not just list and sell.
I wonder
There's
if I
a lot
sold
of
this
things you
one.
can do once you're on the path of finding success in the industry. It's definitely an industry I highly recommend for some people that are really driven, that want to find success, that want to change their lives, change the lives of others. It really is fantastic. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to check out theultimatejetguide.com. Jet. Not to mention the midsize will typically go almost twice as far and be comfortable on a mission that's farther away than a light jet, which means if you're trying to get to 300 hours, you may have to do
No answer on that one.
300 1-hour trips in a light jet
Okay.
versus 150 2-hour trips
Sold this
in
jet
a
in
mid-size
2020.
jet. So most will recommend a mid-size. I can understand why someone might want to look at a light jet because they can be a little bit more, a little bit less expensive to acquire, but that's kind of the breakdown.
Melvin.
Now, the nice thing about light jets, is fuel efficiency, fuel economy.
Okay, this one
maintenance
says
can be
this
lower.
number will hang up on
It
me.
could be a great way if you find the right operator.
Challenge
it could be a
accepted.
great, thing for you. It might be a great opportunity. However, you want to make sure they can prove it.
Hey, Anthony, what's going on, man?
Concept. So, what you're thinking about is this a business or is this a hobby? If this is a hobby, you're probably thinking, well, I only need a light jet. I'm only going an hour, 2 hours away. I might want to fly it myself and operate it single pilot. So you think of it like a hobby. And then secondarily, you'll ask, the operators, hey, what are you finding? If you think about it like a business, you got to ask yourself, what do the operators need? What is the market demand? And usually with the market demand, you're finding the mid-sized jets. You're going to want to budget anywhere from $2 million to $8 million when it comes to this, because, even if you get a light jet, you're not going to want one from the 70s and 80s. They just don't charter out well. They they're not very fuel efficient. They cost more to maintain than the newer ones. So you're going to want to look at, a $2 million to $8 million budget when you're looking at investing in a private jet. And those operating costs are probably going to be around $500,000 to $1 million a year. So you're going to want to make sure your operator can offset those costs as much as possible. Now, let's talk about a sample proposal, which we kind of already went over, but we can do it again, just so that we're all clear.
All right. I'm going to give myself an applause on that one. So the note said, yeah, that's right. Oh, this is some good applause.
So let's go over an operating proposal.
So the note said,
so we're going to
this phone number is
350 hours of use.
Left message. The note said that they would hang up on me, but we tried this new script and they didn't hang up on me.
You're going to want to ask.
Got through it. So let me call the mobile number, see if the actual.
Wrap up on this. So 350 hours of use, direct operating costs.
The owner himself. I want to see as my note said. Test out that theory.
And this is right. This is straight out from the guide, the Ultimate Jet Guide. So it came out to 876. This is an actual operator's proposal that we got so far this year. So looking at a mid-sized jet, 350 hours. The charter company is.
Hello there, Brandon. My name is Tom Lelio with Jet Life Aero, and just reaching out, going through the ultra market, and not sure if it makes sense for you to give me a call back, but I work with a group that currently has a couple of citations on the market, and after reviewing some notes on Bravo Alpha, just wanted to see if you'd be opposed to having a brief conversation around it, as we might be able to help you out with that if that's something that you've been thinking about changing this year. So again, it's Tom with Jet Life Aero. You can find me on YouTube, The Ultimate Jet Guide. You can also call or text me back at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
So they're able to generate $1.6 million of revenue.
All right, let's see. Gus in the house.
Hangar, training, charters, etc.
What's going on, Mr. Gus? All right, that one was okay. So I'm gonna put let's see what's a good one for that one. We'll just
so basically we have a total revenue of 1.6.
There we go.
Fixed,
that's a good one.
And then the net profit is going to be.
It's pretty basic. Set that number
$224,000.
LVM.
Okay, so just so we're all clear,
All right, next up.
this was a proposal that was sent to us. I know I went through it fast. It proposed 350 hours
It's
of
a
use,
charter
50 of
company.
which is going to be from the owner. They're going to charge $5,500 an hour for retail people to fly on the jet.
Looks like this guy's got it
Direct
on a
operating
charter
costs for
company.
the
Let's see
year is
if
going to be
he'll.
about 800. I'm sorry, let's go over the revenue. At $5,500 an hour, the revenue is going to be 1.6 million. The operating costs are 876,000, fixed costs 450,000, leading to a net of 274. So that's an example of how the proposal is going to break down. Now, one thing I forgot I didn't go over yet is this idea of the different types or the different models of charter. So you can have a charter model, and this is how they produce revenue. You have a charter model of a hub and spoke. So you have a base, and the plane goes, and the plane comes back. Hub and spoke model. Most operators are going to be in a hub and spoke model. They'll try to make it as efficient as possible if they have, if they're going from, SRQ to Teterboro, when they come back, they're going to try to fill it with what's called an empty leg deal. And this is kind of important. Like, this is one of the reasons why you want to pick the right operator. Sometimes you're obviously going to be charged for the Teterboro trip there and back. Like, there's operating costs associated with that, right? So let's say it takes 2 hours to go from Sarasota to Teterboro. The operating costs on
Voicemail.
let's just
Dope.
call it $3,000.
That's what I meant to hit.
Remember. So that's going to
Some
be
chimes for the
6,000 there,
voicemail.
6,000 back. That's $12,000 for that round trip that it costs to operate the plane. Well, the first part of the operating
He's in
costs are
Wisconsin. Oh, it was
offset by
8:30
the
there.
Retail charter client, right? They paid for it, so that's great. The second part of the charter may have been charged to the client, so he paid for it back. But what happens with this empty leg? This is the big question once you get out. What happens when that empty leg, if they're able to fill it, who's getting that extra money? Is the operator double dipping because they had the first client pay for their trip back and then they found an empty leg client? Are they refunding the money to the first clients? So how does that work? You want to understand your charter operator.
Hey, Dusty, it's just Tom Lelio with Jet Life Aero. I'm just going through the Ultra Market and have Tango Whiskey pulled up on my screen. I was just wondering if you can maybe possibly help me out for a moment. Not sure if it makes sense for you to give me a buzz back or not, but I work with a group that currently has a couple citations on the market. And after reviewing some notes on Tango Whiskey, I called to see if you'd be opposed to having a brief conversation around it. Because I think we could help you out if you're looking to make a change in this brand new year. So give me a call at your convenience. Again, it's Tom with Jet Life Aero. You can find me on YouTube as the Ultimate Jet Guide. You can also call or text me at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
So that it's nearby the owner. Use it whenever they want. Now,
chimes.
Somebody needs to go to
chimes.
And I forget the code. I'm just going to call it TET.
LVM.
So the plane is going to fly from Sarasota to Teterboro. Okay, so we talked about the reload, the trip, and then the next reload. So the floating fleet will have it in Teterboro, but as soon as they see that, they know they're going to have another trip to Chicago. So what they've done is they've relocated for the trip. They come here, and now the next reload leg is here.
All right, this one we might call.
Okay.
Ooh,
and what they're going to work to do is they're going to work to get someone from Teterboro.
He's an aircraft manager.
Chicago, or maybe they have
under his management
up in Boston. Okay, so instead of going direct to Chicago, they can go Boston and then reload to Chicago. Meanwhile, this is the concept of efficiency. Okay, if the plane does not need to return to the hub, because it's out there, and you're working with an operator that's used to dealing in this world.
What up, Brian? You're off TikTok now.
They can source trips and keep your plane working more so than another operator that's primarily hub and spoke coming back and forth. Now, obviously, there are drawbacks to this, insofar as your plane's all over the the US, but you might not care about that. It might not be a big deal to you. That's like you might think that's what it's supposed to be doing. I trust the operator company to do that. Great, great. That's that. I just want to make you kind of aware of that. So before we wrap up, I'm going to share with you a couple of questions that you're going to want to use when you're working with an operator. So as you go through the interview process, and again, these questions are all in the Ultimate Jet Guide. So you go to ultimatejetguide.com/jetinvest. You can check out these operator questions.
Birmingham, Alabama.
And my role really is to help you, is to be somebody on your side to ask the questions that you don't know to ask. That's kind of why I'm doing all this, is because my goal is to be, a jet broker that can help you interview operators. And then when you decide what jet you're going to go buy, I'm going to have an opportunity to work with you in the acquisition stage. So you're going to want to ask them questions about the fleet, how long you've been in business for, how many total aircraft are on your certificate, what do you charge per hour on a given make and model? What are you seeing? What are the prices that you're seeing? How many pilots and mechanics do you have that are familiar with this airframe, or are you going to end up training?
Hey there, Bob. It's Tom with Jet Life Aero. Good morning. I'm just going through the Ultra market. I've got Kilo Tango pulled up on my screen. I was just wondering maybe you could possibly help me out for a moment. Not sure if it makes sense for us to talk, if you give me a buzz back, but I work with a group that currently has a couple citations on the market. After reviewing some notes on Kilo Tango, I just called to see if you'd be opposed to having a brief conversation around it. We might be able to help you out if you're looking to make a change in the new year. So again, my name is Tom with Jet Life Aero. You can find me on YouTube at The Ultimate Jet Guide. You can also call me or text me back at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
And you want to be operating in those pockets because that gives you more opportunity to make money. If your clients specialize in going to Fargo, North Dakota,
you guys have any other thoughts on what sound I should use for voicemail? I mean, here's the sounds that we have. We got. I'm gonna save that for a bad one. Maybe like dope.
Okay, cool.
This one I really like for good calls. You get really busy. Maybe crickets. Maybe we should use.
But you want to make sure you pin down the operators.
Chimes are good.
These vague, answers.
Like I said, I could also start doing.
Ask them about their competitors. Who are your top two competitors? Like, I don't know. We stand alone. Like, you should know your market. You should know your competitors. And you basically what you're doing is you're interviewing to get on a winning team. And you want to be on that winning team so that you are winning with this investment. Ask questions about their operations. What type of model do they run? Are they hub and spoke?
Let's turn that off before I forget to put it back.
Do they do their maintenance in-house, or do they send it off to a third party?
Gus likes that. You guys like that, yeah.
Of the pilots. That's something that you want to know. Do you have any other partnerships with other operators?
I should try it. I shouldn't, but I should, right? I should, but I shouldn't call someone with that.
So you have a great opportunity there. Because if they can't get retail clients, they can, NetJets can maybe find a client and your plane can be of use. Maybe they're medical partnerships that they're a part of. So you might not get the retail rate, but that your jet is still being used, and you get a little something because you're able to keep it in motion. So do they have any strategic partnerships? How much time are you going to need for you to schedule your flights? Like, is it really, really booked? That you're going to have to give them your whole calendar in a year, and you won't have access to it because maybe one of the reasons you got into private aviation is to go when you.
Hey Jeff, it's just Tom with Jet Life Aero. I was just going through the Ultra market, and I've got Lima Papa pulled up on my screen. I was just wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. Not sure if it makes sense for us to talk or for you to give me a buzz back, but I work with a group that currently has 6 citations on the marketplace. And after reviewing a few notes on your Ultra, I just called to see if you'd be opposed to having a brief conversation around it, as we might be able to help you out if you're looking to make a change in the new year. So if so, give me a call at your convenience. My name is Tom with Jet Life Aero. You can find me on YouTube at The Ultimate Jet Guide, or call or text me at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
There's a lot more out there, a lot more information I want to share with you because I'm passionate about pulling back the curtain.
Voicemail.
To help you buy or sell.
I'm gonna make a sound that's just me doing that. Like voicemail.
Money so that you can live life. Have a great day.
Because I'm nerdy like that, and I will do that. Don't tempt me with a good time. All right, looks like we're done with how to make money with a jet. Let's go on to pre-buy. The importance of pre-buy.
Welcome to the Jet Life Podcast, pulling back the curtain on private
When
aviation.
it was the Jet
so
Life
you can
podcast.
Live that jet life to the fullest. Whether you're looking to charter a jet or own a jet, my name's Tom Lelio, and I'm your ultimate jet guide. Now on to the show.
California's still a little early there.
All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the Jet Life Podcast. That was our first intro drop live, Tim. You got to experience that.
That was wonderful. Super professional. Love it.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's a process. So welcome everybody to the Jet Life Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Lelio, where we pull back the curtain on private aviation.
Down for 4 months. Not sure when it'll be back.
Today I'm joined with
Something
Tim
newer,
Wade,
smaller, maybe a
who is
turbo
in
pod.
charge of the Safety Wire podcast.
Full Garmin and
We'll
autopilot.
be talking all about safety today. In private
Oh, he's probably going to
aviation.
go
Tim,
back
thanks so much
with
for joining us.
Jetaviva.
Oh, it's a
Okay.
pleasure, man.
Well,
Thanks for having me on.
So we are really lucky to have you today
Uh,
because you have
let's
been
see.
swamped. There's so much going on in your professional life. You want to pull back the curtain a little bit and tell us what's going on with where you work and all the craziness that you've been up to lately.
Oh my goodness. So thankful to take a day remotely today. It's been one of those weeks where you just need one of those catch-up days and you're actually able to do it from home. So I'm very thankful to be here with homebrewed coffee. It's great to finally to take a remote day. So not only am I the host of the Safety Wire podcast, that's what I do personally on my off hours. I love doing that because I thought it was a market that we could reach in aviation that not many people were really looking into. There's a
Hey,
lot
Ray,
of
this is
podcasts
Tom
out
with
there.
Jet
You
Life
were
Arrow. You get a
I love
chance,
how
give me a
talk about
buzz at your
safety quite
convenience.
often, but I
941
really wanted to
241
hit safety
268.
from as many perspectives as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Outside of the podcast, what I do 9 to 5 and pretty much 24/7 is I'm the director of health and safety for Constant
We got a
Aviation.
great question
which,
over
as
here.
you've seen in the news
Transition
recently,
from
is
youth
merging into
pastor
our sister
to
company,
jet broker
FlexJet.
was
So Constant is
definitely
a
an
Part
interesting one.
145
And
MRO. We do
oh, have I not been
large
showing you my
overhauls,
script?
large maintenance in both Cleveland and Sanford, and we have a nationwide AOG team. FlexJet, on the other hand, is a 135 charter operator, a very large charter operation. Which they have.
I'm sorry, guys. I should have been sharing my screen like this the whole time. Anyway,
well. So the idea
yeah, man. So the transition from youth pastor to jet broker was kind of an interesting one. It all started.
That will greatly serve our
I was youth pastor for about 10 years, and then I went into the private sector, working at a music school. Or
so these, like I said, these are two well-established companies.
Hey, we got some Twitch people. What's going on? RW20 IMG. How's it going?
Very
great questions.
Proactive teams.
So
we're seeing
I was youth pastor for 10 years, and then I moved into doing marketing and sales for a local music school. We grew that school into the top music program, after-school music program in the county of Sarasota within 3 years. And then I approached my boss at the time and I said, hey, how do I make 6 figures here? And she's basically like, well, you can't. It's just not gonna. Oh, IMG RW. Okay, that's someone who probably knows my kids. So hello, person who plays who probably plays soccer at IMG. Very cool. Anyway, so
there's a lot of different. I was just talking to someone.
Yeah, I was working at a music school for a little while doing sales and marketing, and then I knew I couldn't make 6 figures there, and so I just started looking at jobs, and there was a job online on Indeed.com that was for high ticket sales, a sales executive for high ticket sales, and so I went ahead and
I know we have different qualifications in different areas. We have different foreign certificates as well.
Oh, right wing. That makes sense. Why are you on Twitch, Gus? Come on, man. Anyway, I went to interview for this job, and they gave me a position as a jet broker without any aviation experience. So I had to learn everything on the job. And so if you're looking to become a jet broker, I worked there for 3 years. Then last year I started my own brokerage, and I started training people how to become jet brokers. So if you're interested in becoming a jet broker, check out jetlifearrow.com/sell jets. And I kind of go through what the story was like for me and what I had to do to make it happen. And I just really appreciate the question, and be happy to share more information as if you have any other questions, feel free to check it out.
I have a great mentor, and I kind of side with him on this one. We hate the word safety. I think it has been ruined over the years. I think too many people now have a negative connotation when you think of the word safety. You know, when you think of
next up, who's the next
person
person to sell?
think of manufacturing, and you walk into an auto manufacturing place. If you say you're the safety guy, you think people are like, "Oh, great! I'm so happy to see you." You know, it's Unfortunately, it's the same way in aviation, and we have tried, at least I have over the years, and I know a lot of the people I work with have tried over the years to change the mindset of safety. We want to be viewed as proactive. We want to be viewed as a team of service. We are here to assist you to have the most comfortable work experience possible, to send you home in the same way possible, to let you understand that it's our responsibility to teach and to be a resource for all of our team members. I think too many people also look at the safety team as they keep us safe, and we don't. Not that we don't want you to be
Charter
safe. It's not the
person.
safety team's responsibility to
Gus
keep
is
you
back
safe.
on the
It's our
YouTube. What's up,
responsibility to
Gus? Good.
provide you with as many resources, understanding, knowledge, and training so
California.
you can
Time to
make the
wake
best
up.
risk assessment on the floor with your
Just
physician.
bought it
I
last
want
year in
them to feel
December.
empowered to look at their daily operation and know that if they perform their
Let's
duties
see what this is.
properly, that they are inherently going to be safe.
Florida.
Safety and quality should be a byproduct of a well-rounded organization. So Constant and FlexJet both have the exact same mentality of we want to write our policies, procedures, and the outlook of the organization in a way that is going to serve everybody it touches the proper way. And if our guys on the floor and our people operating our aircraft are following our procedures and adhering to the training we have out there, safety is an incredible byproduct of that. All right. It shouldn't be two separate things. It should be if I'm operating the correct way and
Appreciate
utilizing my policies the correct way,
second.
safety is going to be a great byproduct of that.
For sure. So you work a lot with the mechanics and kind of like the back end people, if you will. We're gonna shift today and talk about safety from the end user.
Good morning. Hey, the reason for the calls, I'm just reaching out through the Ultra market, wondering if you could help me out. I don't know if it makes sense for you to give me a buzz back or not, but I work with a group that currently has a couple citations on the market. After reviewing some of the notes on a Sierra Lima, I would just wondering if you would be opposed to having a brief conversation around possibly bringing it to the market for sale and answer any questions you might have so you can make an informed decision about what to do in the next couple of months. Give me a call at your convenience. Again, it's Tom with Jet Life Air. You can find me on YouTube at The Ultimate Jet Guide or call or text me at 941-241-2682. Have a great day.
For the first time, there's some great perks to private travel.
Yeah, Danger, I appreciate the question. Yeah, six figures.
So I think when it comes to safety,
yeah, I mean,
especially in private travel,
so that was the
key.
goal, right? When I
If you
first
don't
transitioned
know,
out
make sure you're working with someone reputable
into
who does.
sales, I'm like, can I make
Because
six figures? And
as
so
all people who are
I had
operating
done
private,
sales with like
private
Vector
travel, we know
Marketing,
this is a
selling
major
Customer Dimes. I had
investment,
done
and with all wise
multi-level market
investments, you
network
should want to
marketing
learn
with
as much as
another
you
company, which
can
I still
and
work with
take
that company.
advisement
We
prior
never made
to
much
making the
money. It was like
investment.
a bunch of bucks a
And
month
there's some great
for
ways
our
to do this.
product,
First off,
basically.
if you're
But
intent on being an owner,
I was hopeful,
start with a broker.
and my
Start
manager
with
at the
fractional
time told me,
ownership.
like, hey, Tom,
Start
if you do
where
everything
you
right,
have a
like you should
team
be able to be
supporting
making
yourself. And
six
if you're
figures
looking
in
to
your
just
first
travel
year, and I
privately,
did.
get with a
I
reputable
sold
charter
20
operation.
jets
So,
my
like,
first
like I said,
year,
from my experience with
and
FlexJet,
each of them
they
paid me a
guide our
commission of roughly
customers through
$5,000.
every
It was
process
more
that
than
they're going to
that,
be involved
but
in,
we had a
so that
60-40
they're
split
educated on the
with
decisions they
the
need to make.
brokerage. It was
Like I
like a
said, that knowledge
$12,000
piece is
commission,
great.
if you will. They
We
were
can
really
touch on
low, like
regulations
$500,000
all day long, training,
or
mechanical,
less jets,
logistics.
and so
There
I
are
sold
so
20 of
many
them, got
different facets
$5,000 a pop roughly,
that are
and made
involved in the
100 grand.
operation.
And then the
And
next
how we
year, I
look at
sold
safety, it
more
touches
jets,
everything,
and
and
the
that's
jets that I
why we want
sold
to
gave
get
me a
with the
higher
word of
commission, so I
safety, is
doubled
because
my
people
commission to
automatically think
200 grand the
it's a
next year.
hard
And the
hat,
following year, I
it's
doubled
cut
that
gloves, it's
again
things
to
like that.
over
It's not. Safety
$500,000.
touches
And
finance.
that's
You have
when
to
I
properly
decided to leave.
maintain
And so
finances
last
to
year,
operate the business.
still
It touches
maintained a
HR.
6
You
figure,
have to
definitely
hire
was
the
not
right people into your
what it was. It
organization.
was closer to
Those
what
are
it was when I
all
first
things
started
that are
out.
tied
And
to safety.
now I'm in a
So we
different
could touch on
position
all of those
that I'm
options,
hoping
but I really think
helping
the most
brokers,
important thing
to
here
train
is
and become
knowledge of the
people
operation.
that
And
are
if you
changing their
don't
lives through
feel
aviation, the way
100%
aviation changed my
comfortable
life.
with
So
your
that's
knowledge
kind of a
set,
little bit of my
get with the
story.
people who have it, right?
Danger
Get yourself a
Suite.
brokerage
I
team. Get
appreciate you
yourself a
asking,
charter
man.
team. Get with a company,
Next
like I said,
up,
with
let's
FlexJet,
see
who
who's
has
up
a massive
next.
owner services
The
team that is
call.
going to guide you through
Oh,
that
last one was a
process.
voicemail.
Right. So it's really about learning the
Voicemail.
process.
Yeah, and I think what's really
All
important is
right,
while
who's
you're learning
next?
is understanding that you're going to make mistakes, is understanding that mistakes are going to be made, is understanding that it's going to be a little bit of a messy business, because I see a lot of
To
people
adopt
who
money
get
directory.
analysis paralysis. They focus so much on learning and educating themselves that they never end up pulling the trigger, and they miss out on all the benefits of private aviation. So
Exactly.
by working with a team, we can
Hey
only
guys, is the
do
volume on these
so much
videos
as
okay? Like, is it loud enough that you can actually
whoever,
listen
we
to it?
can only do so much with what's unexpected. If if when this plane was, first being delivered in the 1980s or the 90s, and someone forgot to log something, or they scratched something out, or something's missing, or it wasn't recorded correctly. Like, we can only do so much, with that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Or if there's a mechanic and he's not being careful and he's trying to jack up the nose of the plane and he puts it in the wrong spot, and all of a sudden there's a hole in the nose, which unfortunately has happened to me. Uh, like, that's out of our control. So in the education process, I definitely want to advocate for people to understand, like, it's a messy process, going to take time, but if you have the right team, you can navigate through all those obstacles.
Exactly. Exactly. And a lot of that comes down to understanding risk, the risk in this industry, and understanding your own personal risk tolerance. If your risk
Mhm.
tolerance
Voicemail.
is super low, you have no risk tolerance at all, this might
I
not be
kind
the
of like
best
that
option for you
chime
to become an owner. You
and saying
might want to
voicemail, but
rely on charter
I'm sure if it's
operations
on
and
brand or not.
things
We're just
where
having fun
other
here,
people are
right?
making the
Right,
big
TikTok?
heavy
We're just having fun
decisions
here.
there. If you have a higher risk tolerance and you really want to get into this, once again, have the knowledge set in stone. But an owner
Texas.
side
He just bought it last
might be
year, so
great
probably
for
doesn't
you.
want to sell. I want to see if this thing's
I
broken
love it.
down or
That's an
anything.
absolutely fantastic point about risk tolerance and knowing yourself. I think a lot of people kind of miss out on that. So that's a great point. So a lot of the first time buyers, they want to balance price point with
Mm-hmm.
this idea of safety slash risk, if you want to call it that. So if I'm
Yes.
buying a jet for the first time, what are some safety items for you that would be a no-go, a deal breaker? Whether it's missing logbooks or engines past TBO or damage history, are any of these, deal breakers? And I don't know, your experience, Tim. I've primarily dealt with legacy citations, so I've seen a
Mm-hmm.
wide range from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I don't know if you're primarily dealing with newer stuff where it may be more of a big deal.
Yeah, we have a lot of newer jets with FlexJet. They handle a lot with the Gulfstream line legacies as well. For me, on the safety side though, because I can kind of put myself in anyone's shoes going through this process. I'm one of those people with a very low risk tolerance. I'm a safety professional. I don't like taking risks. I do understand in our business there is going to be a set of risk. You can't just be zero risk. All right, yeah,
Right.
that's just a poster on somebody's wall. It doesn't actually happen that way. There's no industry that has zero risk. And once you
Tom
kind
with
of understand
Jet
that, you can
Life
progress through it
Arrow.
proactively. So, like I said, there's nothing I really feel comfortable pushing. However, someone writing the check is going to feel differently. So, every situation is different. Make sure you're relying, as we said before, on the reputable people and the minds that you're using to advise you. Those are the people that have the knowledge on the regulations. Those are the people that have the knowledge on
Mhm.
records. Those are the people that have the knowledge on maintenance. Rely on them, because especially if you're new to this game, you don't know what you don't know, really. There are
Yeah.
so many auditing companies. Which one is, which one's reputable, and which one are you just buying the certification from? Because there are some that you're buying the name, and there are some great reputable auditing companies out there as well. There's some operators, same thing, who knows how well their safety program is. And if you're new to this and you don't have that knowledge base, that's when you really need to rely on that team, that set in stone, time tested team, your owner services department, your broker who has been there. This isn't their first rodeo.
Yep.
That's when you need to rely on them for that.
Would you be comfortable if I toss out a couple of these things and we kind of go back and forth on examples like missing logbooks, engines? If you don't mind playing devil's advocate a little bit, if I was to just kind of present to you, like, hey, like, look, we're missing the logbooks, but the logbook, it's a 1980s jet, and the missing logbooks from the 80s, let's say from the 90s to the 2000s, but then they pick up back again. Maybe we can recreate them. What would your concerns be, as someone, possibly looking to purchase something like that?
I would be concerned with how well it's going to get recreated. And when you're the owner coming into a recreated logbook or records that are getting pulled from who knows where, once again, you don't know if it's getting pulled from a reputable source. Is the team that's rebuilding this logbook pencil whipping things? Or are they actually getting some
Yeah.
great, decent paperwork done? Are they doing the research they're supposed to be doing? Are they getting with the regulatory agencies? Once again, this comes down to working with reputable people who are there to educate you and who have a background on creating a lot of these items that are needed to
All
rebuild
right,
some of
that
these logbooks.
call.
because that does happen. The older aircraft from years and years ago, they're going to have
Could have been better.
rocket
Spoke with the
issues. So you're going to
secretary,
work with
who
somebody who's
apparently
going
is
to
like
make
the
this
broker in the
a reputable
team.
logbook.
She helped with
And then
the
also, is that going to
purchase
get
of this
checked off
aircraft,
and bought
and
off
I
on
just
by
I
possibly
should
another team that's
have
going to make sure, yep, this is correct. They did it the right
asked
way.
for
We're
her
going to put
email
our stamp
address,
of
and I just
approval on
kind of
that. All right.
was
Don't
off and just kind of wussed out, I guess,
I
if
want to
you
say
will. So
cheap
I'm gonna
out on
call
it. That's
one
not a great
more,
way to put it, but don't take shortcuts
and
when
then
it
we're gonna
comes to your
call it for
records.
today.
It will bite you in the long run. Don't take shortcuts when it comes to your life limited components. It will bite you in the
The
long run.
office.
All right. Make sure, once
My
again, with
doctor's
how
got
large
the
of an investment
ultras.
this is, this
It's
should have
interesting.
your 100% undivided attention that you are operating it properly.
Yeah. Can you speak to this idea of pencil whipping? It's something that gets tossed out in the agency around. And I kind of explained to
All right, this guy's got a 70%
obviously
share in the
different levels
aircraft.
of
Let's see what
maintenance,
this.
different pedigrees of maintenance records. But this idea of pencil whipping, what's that fine line? Because once someone puts their name and their number on it, their license number on it, I mean, there's should be some sort of not like a stamp of approval, but like you can hold them accountable.
Mhm.
But what maybe you could speak to this idea, like what is pencil whipping? What have you seen, and what are some of the maybe the signs that people can look out for when they're reading some logbooks?
Yeah, it really comes down to, like I said, the reputation of the company that you're using. Constant Aviation for the
Hey,
longest time had the
David, it's
tagline, "Quality
Tom
always."
with
We
Jet
are heavily
Life
invested into our
Aero.
quality
Hope you're doing
team,
well. I'm just going
and
through
I
the
love
Ultra
working
market, and
alongside them.
I've
Safety
got
and quality go hand in
quick
hand together
pulled up,
because we
and
want a
was wondering if you
professional,
could possibly help me. I'm
proper
not sure if
product
it quite
being
makes
put out onto
sense
the
for
market,
us to
and
talk
maintenance
or
is a
not, but I
product
work
that
with
we're
a
putting
group
out
that
there.
currently has a
So
couple
we
citations
always
on the
double
market,
check
and
our
after reviewing
logbooks. I
some
know we
notes on
have
yours, I called
certain
to see if you'd
inspections
be opposed
on
to having a
every single
brief
piece of paper that comes across the
conversation
desk, every stamp that
around
is
it.
being
Answer
used.
questions that you might
We are
have, what the
using
market's doing, what
chief
it might be
inspectors,
worth, what
floor
options might
inspectors,
be, if you're
floor
looking at something
QA,
new or nicer,
back-end QA,
what have
people
you.
building
So
the
give me a
logbooks,
call at your
people building
convenience.
the work
Again, my name is
packages.
Tom with Jet Life
There
Aero.
are a
You can
lot of
find me on
moving
YouTube at
pieces,
the Ultimate Jet
and
Guide,
where you really
or
want to
call or
look
text me at
is what are the checks and
941-241-2682.
balances for
2682.
those
Have a
moving
great day.
pieces. And this is where it gets into SMS. SMS is looking at risk. And then you see a
All
risk.
right, left
What are
him
we
a
doing about the
buzz,
risk? We're going to put
and
controls in place to
cool,
reduce
guys.
that
Well,
risk
thank you
down as
so much for
far as you
joining
can
us
get
today.
it.
I
And
greatly
then you're going to
appreciate it. If you got
control
any other
again and
questions, leave them
control
in the
again
comments
until
below.
it
You
gets
can
to a
connect,
point where you're able to
hit
work
the
with it.
ring that subscribe
Quality is
button,
no
and we'll
different.
catch you later.
We want to